chicken than Hattie B's, a family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food and the authentic Nashville hot chicken. They hand-bread their fried chicken, cooked to order, add your spice level. Go hot or not, all the way up to shut the cluck up. You want to go mild, medium, hot, whatever works for you, and they have the best sides in town. By the way, you download the Hattie B's app today, you get a free dessert just by doing so. Skip the line, order for pickup or delivery, and go to Hattie B's for lunch today.
Welcome back to the show here on 104.5 The Zone. Kirby's doing his best. That almost looks Trumpian with your arm movements as you dance to the music here, Kirby. We appreciate you guys hanging out.
Trump stole it from the 70s, and I'm just borrowing it for today.
Jackson texted me yesterday and said, I'm revamping the music library. Send me new music. So I did that, and then I decided that I was going to be lazy and I was going to outsource it to the people on Twitter. And so I tweeted, send Jackson your music recommendations, and not a single damn one of you responded. So I don't know whether to be deflated by that on my end of things or upset that not one person has a song recommendation and that I just assume people are content to hear the same songs over and over and over again, which makes me want to scream. But that's not what we're here to talk about live at Titans practice. There is a couple of different things from Brian Callahan's media availability this morning. Again, it was not broadcast live, so you would not be able to find anything but quotes out there on the internet and perhaps something in articles later. But on Kyle Phillips, Jimmy Wyatt asked Callahan about, have you seen, if we don't see Kyle Phillips again, have you seen enough on Kyle Phillips to make a determination? Because right now, we can tell you after practice concludes which injured players we saw working out in front of us, but we cannot do that right now because there are not fans out here to witness it with us. So this is technically a closed practice. Kyle Phillips is a known commodity. Like, we know the skill set of Kyle Phillips, right, when he's healthy and available. He is a designated slot receiver. I remember Cosell talking about him coming out of the draft process at a UCLA before he was a fifth-round draft pick, saying, I really like this guy. I think he could roll out of bed and play slot in the NFL, which is high praise for a fifth-round pick. And you know what? I think he could do it if he could just keep his hamstrings right.
He has done it. I mean, let's be honest. Every time he's been healthy on the field, whether in camp or games, preseason or regular season, he has been productive in the slot.
Correct.
He has just hardly been healthy.
He has hardly been available that way, and that is the biggest killer, right? So it's not just Treylon Burks from that 2022 draft class that we talk about, a lack of availability. It's Kyle Phillips as well. And Brian Callahan said that he had seen enough to make a determination because, you know, like us, they know what Kyle Phillips is. Kyle Phillips was on the unofficial, keyword unofficial depth chart as the backup slot receiver, despite not being listed anywhere on the special teams roster as far as I could tell.
He's a non-factor in special teams.
Correct.
Right? Like, we can go ahead and say that.
And he was dropping punts in warm-ups at the preseason game. I want to say that would have been the Niners preseason game because he did not play against Seattle. So it is slot or nothing for Kyle Phillips, and they know that, we know that, and I'm sure Kyle Phillips now knows that too.
So we know he is a non-factor on special teams.
Yep.
And we know he is not going to be the starter in the slot when
Correct.
Tyler Boyd is healthy, which Tyler Boyd is back out here today.
So the question becomes, how confident are you that you have sufficient options in Jaquan Jackson, theoretically in the slot? Mason Kinsey has a broken pinky. We'll see how that impacts his viability. He's never had a better chance to make the roster. He's probably the player who's had the best camp that still has the longest odds to make this roster.
I don't know. I disagree with he's never had a better chance to make the roster.
When has he had a better chance to make the roster?
When this team has rolled out Chris Moore as its second-best receiver. Right? Like, the team overhauled the wide receiver room. So, to me, Mason Kinsey is a practice squad player, and I don't consider him a candidate to be on the 53. And that's nothing against Mason Kinsey. He's been great. But it's hard for me to say he's never had a better chance to make this roster when they are
That's a fair point.
as good and as deep at his position as they have been in the last, I don't know, decade.
But he's never played as well as he's played right now.
Sure.
My point being is that he has had a sufficient camp to where any other year you might look at Mason Kinsey and be like, yeah, I could see it. Except not this year because, of course, like you're saying, they're stacked at the position, and it's still super long odds to
They're stacked
to
at
make the
his
roster.
position, at the slot.
Yes, correct. I'm saying in particular that despite he's never played this well to earn even that consideration.
No, he has improved. He really has.
To his credit.
Yes.
So if we said today, all right, based on Brian Callahan's comments where he's saying, yeah, I've seen enough. I know enough. If we don't see Kyle Phillips again in the preseason, which the expectation is not right now, is Kyle Phillips on this initial 53-man roster come roster cut-down day or in the aftermath of roster cut-down day? Because my position would be no. Jaquan Jackson has done enough. He is a more wide-scale contributor than is Kyle Phillips. And I also don't blame Kyle Phillips for being not available. There's nothing he can do about that, though there is some thought to the idea of soft tissue injuries being the more preventable injuries.
It is a hamstring that he's dealing with.
Correct. So something to keep in mind there. But Kyle Phillips, to me, is outside looking in at best right now.
DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Traylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Jaquan Jackson. That's 5. Who am I missing? Tyler Boyd, of course. That's 6. So to me, if you're keeping 6 wide receivers, that's your 6. The question is DeAndre Hopkins healthy enough to be on the initial 53-man roster? And the other question is Kyle Phillips' only path to the 53, the initial 53, A, D-Hop injury keeping him out of it, or B, the Titans keeping 7 wide receivers? And in that case, he's going up against Keiris Jackson, and then
who's also not available right now, we're noting.
Right, but has shown something
Sure.
In special teams, certainly, especially on kickoffs.
Hopkins is going to be healthy enough to make the initial 53-man roster. I think we should say that on the front end. Even if he's not healthy for week 1,
sure.
Let's say he's going to be on the 53. It's not a significant enough injury.
Fair enough. They're not going to put him on IR.
Correct.
You're right.
So something to keep in mind there. All right, coming up next in the second hour, we have the dumbest thing in sports this week. Jackson, do I have things to give away for the dumbest thing in sports this week?
You do. You have a pair of 4-day general admission tickets to the 2024 Louder Than Life Festival taking place September 26th through the 29th at Highland Festival Grounds in Louisville, Kentucky. Includes bands like Slayer, Slipknot, Motley Crue, and Korn.
That's Creed. 615-737.
The lips of an angel.
Okay, that's closer, I think, but I still don't think that's any one of those bands.
Hinder.
What are you doing? Okay, go ahead and find me some Slipknot lyrics. Let's hear your best screamo impression.
What's the Slipknot song that? What was their? Oh, I don't remember.
All right, excellent work by you. 615-737-1045. If you want 2 4-day passes to the Louder Than Life Festival, all you have to do is call in and give us your dumbest
Before
thing
I forget,
in sports this week.
It is 11:01. Good morning from Titans training camp at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans are on the practice field in preparation for Sunday's preseason finale at the New Orleans Saints. Brian Callahan reiterated this morning that starters will play in New Orleans on Sunday. Few Titans players are not out here today as Mason Kinsey is missing practice after he broke his pinky finger. Kyrus Jackson continues to sit out as well. Tight end Josh Wiley, running back Jabari Small, and linebacker Otis Reese are still out in concussion protocol, as well as defensive lineman TK McClendon, who continues to miss time with turf toe. Again, the Titans travel down to New Orleans on Sunday. The team made a transaction on Tuesday, signing linebacker Michael Jones and placing linebacker Garrett Wallow on IR. The former Syracuse linebacker Jones was a UDFA with the Chargers last year and spent time with the Cowboys practice squad, as well as the DC Defenders in the UFL. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
That's right, 615-737-1045. Call in, tell us what the dumbest thing in sports this week is. Jackson, if they give us the single dumbest thing in sports this week, which is difficult because there are a lot of stupid things that happen in the world of sports. Lucky for us, it gives us a lot of content. What do they win if they call in for this segment?
A pair of 4-day general admission tickets to the 2024 Louder Than Life Festival, taking place September 26th through the 29th at the Highland Festival Grounds in Louisville, Kentucky. Includes bands such as Slayer, Slipknot, Motley Crue, and Korn.
615-737-1045 is how you get involved. I'll start the bidding. They're making a Happy Gilmore 2, and I don't want it. I don't want Happy Gilmore 2. I don't want Travis Kelce to have a cameo. I don't want Adam Sandler to continue to make bad movies and make me sad and wish that Adam Sandler still made good movies, even though I know he's had a few that have had some relative levels of success on Netflix. It makes me sad. I feel like it's going to be like Anchorman 2 or any of these other sequels for movies that I hold
Yeah, let's
near
not
and dear
slander
to my
Anchorman
heart.
2.
Anchorman 2 was great.
Do not slander Anchorman 2.
Anchorman 2 was fine. The point is, it's not Anchorman 1. This is not going to be Happy Gilmore 1. Some things you should just leave alone and not take the cash. Easy for me to say as I grab at every money-making opportunity that is presented to me.
Life is easier when you accept certain things. Like when you turn that movie on, like walking into Anchorman 2, and you accept, this is not going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
This is not going to be Anchorman 1. But I'm going to sit back, laugh at all the dumb stuff, and enjoy the ride, which I loved in Anchorman 2, and I will do the exact same thing in Happy Gilmore 2. No, it's not going to be a good movie. Of course it's not going to be a good movie. It's not going to be half as good as the first Happy Gilmore, but I'm going to laugh because it's going to be dumb and funny, and I can't wait to watch it.
Are you going to celebrate the same way for the Gladiator 2, 20 years afterwards?
I don't know how to feel about Gladiator.
It's a sport because of the Gladiator. It's stupid. And so is this because Bob is dead. There's nobody to get. I say we just bury that series and move on with something.
Bury it with Bob Barker and let's all move on. Well, wait, is he still alive?
No, Bob died.
Okay.
Bob is no longer with us. Yeah, the Gladiator 2 thing is tough because it seems like the exact same plot as Gladiator 1, except it's Lucius, right? It's the kid from Gladiator 1 all grown up. But they are doing the naval battles in the Colosseum, which has not been done in cinema history before. So that will cause me.
Reel it in there, geek boy. We're talking
boy.
sports here.
Geek boy.
All right, you want to talk sports? Let's talk sports. My dumbest thing in sports, the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh.
We've talked about it a little bit, but the more I think about it, just the more perplexed I am at the decision by Raheem Morris and the Falcons to not play Michael Penix Jr. last week in preseason game number 2 and saying they will not play him in preseason game number 3, that they've seen everything they need to see from him. They're going to mitigate his live reps. I just can't understand it. I can't understand it unless they're thinking about him starting this year in some capacity and want to protect him. But even then, I have difficulty with that logic because I want to see as many reps as possible from Will Levis in a game in the preseason, and I know he's the Titans starter. I just don't understand it, and we've questioned a lot of things about the Falcons. Maybe we all look dumb after the fact. Maybe Michael Penix does end up starting this year and balls out as a rookie despite Kirk Cousins sitting there with his massive contract. We all questioned the pick, saying they should have taken an edge rusher, and they ended up with Matt Judon in a trade. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, the logic of just not playing Michael Penix, shutting him down for preseason games 2 and 3 is perplexing to me.
Kay Adams did a really good interview with Raheem Morris about this after the fact. I guess she's on some kind of like training camp tour for FanDuel TV. And she really pressed him on the idea of like, don't you understand that people want to see this guy play, and it's not just about the coaching staff and the evaluation here. Like, there is some intrigue and also some benefit to be had for this guy who, okay, maybe he was the most pro-ready of any of the quarterbacks that ended up getting drafted in the first round, because there was some school of thought to that effect.
He's played a lot of football. Not as much as Bo Nix, but a lot of football.
Right? So he has played a lot of football. Perhaps they are satisfied with that representative sample size. And also, the NFL is different than Washington. Get out there and have him play. I can't wrap my head around it. And so you're correct. Perhaps we will all be made to look like fools, and Raheem Morris is out here big-braining us all. But I can't for the life of me make heads or tails of it.
I just sent in the explanation from Raheem Morris with Kay Adams into the group chat, Jackson, if we're able to access that, because I would love to hear his explanation. I saw his press conference about it when they talked about not needing to see anymore, which I just find so hard to believe with any rookie quarterback. I don't care who it is. This is Raheem Morris with Kay Adams.
People want to see this kid develop, give him the reps. Patrick Mahomes got the reps. Jordan Love got the reps.
Rightfully so. But, you can prepare yourself while mitigating injury. And we've learned so much more in the new game of football and new age of football that we've changed every single year. We've changed the way the game's been played. We changed the way the hits are developed. We changed the way everything's going. So we got a different approach, and our approach works for us. We got him 25 snaps last week of a bunch of different things that we can simulate. Now we're getting the reps out here against one-on-ones and ones versus twos versus ones. I love the competition, and this kid's going to develop, and he's done a great job of doing it already, and I'm fired up to see him to keep maturing and keep going.
Do you value reps in the preseason at the quarterback position differently than most coaches?
No, it's just, most of the guys that got those young quarterbacks out there, they probably playing their first team O-line, they probably playing their first team people with them. And they're playing with people that they would be out there on a normal basis. What we can do in practice is we can simulate that against our own guys while mitigating injury, while limiting the fact and putting them in harm's way in order to do some things. It's just not worth it. One thing I do learn about coaching, you don't get mulligans if you do get a player hurt that you're counting on. And I want to prepare myself and put myself in the best situation not to have that.
So the message is not, I don't believe in Penix, I don't want a quarterback controversy, I believe so much in Kirk. It's just about, it sounds like it's just about injuries.
Yeah, nothing will be done on selfish thoughts of my own or trying to protect myself from a decision that we made together.
Protect the quarterbacks too.
It's more about protecting our assets, mitigating injury with our guys, being able to do it the right way. We had those 2 joint practices versus Miami, which were awesome. We got a chance to get great reps against people. We got a big-time scrimmage coming up with our guys. We were able to play them in that first preseason game. Kurtz played a bunch of ball. I got 2 guys that I feel really good about playing that goes in the game and can execute for us.
Though I acknowledge that a lot of things in football have changed, to Raheem Morris's point. The one thing that hasn't changed is football players only get better at football by playing football. And that is something that Michael Penix has done a lot of in his career, to your point, but also not at the NFL level.
I can't help but think, do they think he's going to start this year? Well, he's the backup quarterback.
I have no idea.
Play the backup quarterback. It's an interesting situation.
I wish I could answer all your Falcons questions for you, because I have a great many Falcons questions. Jackson, what's your dumbest thing in sports this week?
I'm going with Eli Drinkwitz challenging his fan base at his most recent press conference. This is what the Missouri head coach had to say. I believe this was yesterday.
But our challenge is we need to sell out this first game. All right, we're a top 11 program in the country coming off a Cotton Bowl win, and in my opinion, if we don't sell out the first game, then that shows me that we're not where we want to be as a fan base yet. Okay, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Don't sit on the sideline and wait. Well, it's got to be this game. No, it doesn't. Come watch this team and be excited about this team and embrace this team. And the same challenge that I have for our players is let's have a 1-0 mindset. Let's try to be a 1-0 team and be a 1-0 fan base. Don't get excited about the game in November after the bye week. Like, I don't know what that game's going to look like. I know this week next week versus Murray State's the most important game we have. And we need to sell it out because we need to show the rest of the country that we're serious about our program.
What is he talking about?
He's coaching them up.
Yeah, he's doing the coach thing.
He's doing the coach thing.
Trying to get fans out there for the Murray State game. There's a lot to be excited about for Missouri football this year, I will say that.
Buddy, you know who else worked that into their opening press conference? Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan is all but begging people to show up at Titans games the next couple of years. He's trying to, what did he say? He's trying to make it one of the most fearsome environments to play in the NFL. Vrabel did that. Like, that's not... I don't think that's too far a departure. What, it was just a dry week for dumbest thing in sports for you?
A little bit, and like I don't think the comparison between NFL and college football is there at all.
Oh no, that
like
is
the
fair.
like the week 2 against the Jets as a Titans home opener, and the Murray State for Mizzou's home opener. Those are leaps and bounds away from each other.
I mean, but they are a playoff caliber team this year.
Yeah.
They return a team that won a New Year's Six Bowl against Ohio State. They have one of the most exciting offensive prospects in the country in Luther Burden, a good quarterback coming back. I don't mind it. And I like that Drinkwitz isn't afraid to take shots at his fan base because he was on them last year after they booed the Missouri kicker that missed a field goal, I think, against Kansas State. They booing Brady Cook, I think, in a pregame warm-up at some point, something or the other. But he went at the fan base for that and was pissed in a post-game presser. So, I don't know. I don't mind it. Drinkwitz is at least backing up his words with wins now.
Well, yeah, because he's not your coach and it's not your fan base he's going at. If Josh Heupel went at the Vols fan base, it would turn into an entirely different thing.
You win, you can say whatever the hell you want to your fan base. Nick Saban was chastising Bama fans for leaving early because they were blowing everybody out. When nobody get mad at Nick Saban for that. Butch Jones doing it a little bit differently when you blow a 5-0 start to the season and the lead in the SEC East.
What if I just don't want to watch Murray State? 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want the opportunity to win 2 4-day passes to the Louder Than Life Festival here in just a few weeks, let's go to Eric up first.
Hey, guys. So before I start, I'm not going to be able to make the thing, so please feel free to give another person the tickets. I just wanted to call in and tell everyone how dumb neutral site college football games are because we are absolutely getting robbed the first 2 weeks of the season. Florida State and Georgia Tech play Saturday. I was very excited for it. I was like, holy crap, football Saturday. Until I realized it's in Ireland. It's still going to be good. Football's going to be on, but it sucks it's not at Doak Campbell or at Georgia Tech. We're getting screwed out of Clemson, Georgia. That's neutral site. LSU, USC, Tennessee, NC State. Just please stop scheduling neutral sites. Bring back home and homes. Please stop. It's not ruining college football, but it's ruining some of the experience for the fan, I feel like. So that's my dumbest thing in sports.
Agreed.
But they can make so much money.
Agreed.
So it's
yeah,
never
it makes
going-
money.
It's
Yeah,
never going to change.
Obviously, you can.
I
know-
also think it's dumb, just for what it's worth, Eric, but it's just never going to
You
change.
can know the reason for something happening and still hate it.
Let's go to Brandon up next.
Hey, what's going on, bud?
Yo.
So, my thing is the Brandon Ayuk saga that's still going on. Like, he's with the 49ers. Is he not with the 49ers? Is he with Pittsburgh? He don't want to play for the Patriots. So, we're a week and a half away from the season to start with a premier wide receiver. What's going on with this saga? I think it's just the dumbest thing going on right now as far as football's going.
Appreciate the call, Brandon. We'll go ahead and give Brandon the tickets there, Jackson, because they are apparently, again, working towards a long-term deal. Did you see this report yesterday?
From Jordan Schultz. Yes, an update that is not an update.
John Lynch was asked about this the other day, I assume at Niners training camp or something. He was made available, and he was asked, what's taking so long? And basically, to summarize, he said, I wish I could tell you. So the Niners seem as confused as the football-consuming public does, and unfortunately for Niners fans, they continue to wait in limbo, basically, to figure out whether wide receiver one is going to be their wide receiver one this year if he's going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But please, no more updates and reports about Brandon Ayuk until there is something to update or report about Brandon Ayuk.
Are you taking a second dumbest thing in sports this week?
Now let's just give him the tickets.
Okay. We will give Brandon the tickets. We appreciate you guys for participating in the Dumbest Thing in Sports this week. As always, the Dumbest Thing in Sports this week is made possible by Martin Lawnscapes. They have a strong reputation working in Middle Tennessee since 2011. They provide high-quality, affordable services for all of your landscaping, hardscaping needs. Go to martinlawnscapes.co today. That's martinlawnscapes.co. Coming up next, we are going to get into one thing we want to see in the final week of preseason practice. Live from Titans training camp, it's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. One thing we want to see in the final week of preseason practice. That's what we're talking about in the lead-up to the preseason finale between the Titans and the Saints. I'm flying down to New Orleans on Saturday, and I'll have coverage from the Caesar Superdome for you on Sunday when we do the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff with Brad Hopkins, Blaine Bishop, and Kayla Anderson. B-Hop, Kirby.
What's he doing? He killing bugs?
Killing bugs.
Oh, a wasp? Oh, good job. Thank you, Kirby.
Oh, he's our security. He's our bug killer. He's our do everything guy.
That's
Kirby
fine.
Allen Kirby.
Let the wasps die.
And death to all wasps. Mostly the bug kind, I guess. But I think that with this preseason game, what I meant to mention, B-Hop was good in the McNair Netflix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, him and Fisher are both in it, very heavily featured.
Well, tragic, obviously, the situation, but I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to enjoy it, and I'd be curious to get your point of view on that when we get into it more on Friday, when more people have had the opportunity to watch it. We can talk about it more with the audience. Things that we're looking for in this final preseason week of practice. First and foremost, better work from the offense. The offense. What did I describe it as yesterday? Being in college versus graduating school and entering your first real world work experience. Will Levis has had real world work experience in the NFL, but training camp, where you're the full-time starter, we talked about it as it being, maybe it's graduate level stuff. Maybe it's your undergrad. Maybe you're working towards your bachelor's degree, but you don't really understand all the ins and outs, the nuances of what your job entails until you actually do it in the real world, and that is the regular season. So, as the offense continues to experience growing pains, which are completely fine and totally normal, something that is to be expected, they need to put together 2 better days of work than we've seen them have, because I don't think that I've seen them have 2 days of good quality work consecutively since we've been out here doing training camp broadcasts.
Yes, he did get that real life work experience last year, but different coach, different offense, different offensive line,
different left
different
tackle,
weapons, different everything. So we've kind of had that sort of clean slate conversation about Levis. But it is a unique situation where, yes, he started half the season last year, but everything is still so new and so different that, in a way, it kind of feels like, not to give him Derek Dooley did this. A lot of coaches sometimes do this. They give themselves a year zero, right? Derek Dooley did that at Tennessee. I think Butch Jones did that at Arkansas State.
Year zero.
Like Butch Jones was speaking to the Little Rock Touchdown Club or something, and somebody asked him a question about, so Butch, as you're going into year 3, and he corrected them. He interrupted them. Said, no. We're going into year 2.
No, Butch.
Year 1 was year 0. You know what I mean? So
I miss him so much.
Shut up. No. As I rip Butch for that Will Levis kind of got a year 0 last year. Yes, there were live bullets and there was experience and he was playing NFL games. He did good things. He did bad things. But this is really where it feels like he starts his Titans career in earnest in a way, doesn't it?
Well, not to me. His career started.
Yeah, but you've had that clean slate conversation. You've said that. You're giving Will Levis a clean slate going into this season.
But a clean slate doesn't totally negate everything that came before it. It's just, all right, the situation is new. You're going to have the opportunity to restart this thing, but I don't completely throw out what happened last year. Because there is some stuff there that matters to his growth and development.
Good and bad.
I can give him a clean slate and also still have in the back of my mind that awful 3-6 stretch that they experienced with him at quarterback. That was still an improvement from the level of play that they were getting under Ryan Tannehill. He did clearly elevate the roster, but he has so much more growth and development to do. But did you also hear Brian Callahan, because I know you were over there with me, taking notes during the press conference. He was asked a question about, do you feel pressure to win right away given the amount of money? They've spent the most amount of cap space or salary dollars this year in free agency between Snead and Awuzie and Ridley and Cushenberry and so many other pieces and parts, Kenneth Murray, that have been brought in here. he was asked a question about, does the money spent increase the pressure on you to win right away? And his answer was something to the effect of, you earn the right to feel pressure, right? You earn the right. Once you've won, we have expectations that we have spent the money correctly to put together a competitive football team, right? But as a competitive football team, they also acknowledge that they have not done anything yet, right? There's been no adversity. They've won no games. They've lost no games, other than 2 preseason wins. But whatever. Those are. It's not 2-0,
real. Baby.
It's not real. Okay, it's as real as you want to make it. It's not real.
It's better than 0-2,
I guess. But I mean, in the preseason, does it really matter? You know. So I think for Callahan, I like the approach of, or I like the kind of answer that he gave to that question about, you earn the right to have expectations, right? This is a team that has no expectations anywhere but internally. I guess we have some expectations for them. I have some expectations that they might actually be fun to watch for the first time in a couple of years. But how that actually translates into winning, playoff pushes, in the Hunt graphic at the end of the year, all that kind of stuff that we talk about in the regular season, they still have yet to earn that right, and it starts week 1 in Chicago.
And he admittedly said, he didn't say it, but the question, I believe, was from Easton Freeze about this sort of still being the honeymoon phase, right? Everything is good. Like, it's easy to have good culture and good vibes in the locker room when everything is so new and positive and exciting. And Callahan kind of agreed with that. Said, like, the good culture is tested when things start to go poorly. And that hasn't quite happened yet for the Titans in the regular season. But he talked a lot about Will Levis, too. And I think TD asked this question of Callahan and of Nick Holtz yesterday on what has Will Levis shown you to give you confidence that he can be what you think he can be. Callahan's answer was everything Will is doing in practice, the mundane stuff, the everyday stuff, showing a smart, confident, efficient quarterback. The little things, right? In meetings, in practice, not getting bored. I thought that was interesting. Nick Holtz bringing that up yesterday, just the idea of not getting bored in practice. But the thing I want to see is the Ridley Levis connection, because we've continued to talk about that week after week.
Yeah.
And it's like we're watching that develop in real time. And Nick Holtz had an interesting answer about that yesterday when he was asked about it with the media. Here's Nick Holtz.
So it's actually been kind of fun from that standpoint of really today, for the first time, we're going to start introducing like our game week process to the guys. So we're going to go through some of the installs, some of the presentations. On offense, each position coach and a lot of the position assistants have different areas. So they're going to show, hey, when we go play the Bears and for the rest of the season, whatever. But this Saints, here's what their personnel looks like. Hey, here's what we're expecting them to play here, and kind of give them, our players, the first real in-season, this is how we're going to give you the information. So that's one thing. And then, so that's really the afternoons right now. And then in the mornings, we're really prepping for still training camp style evaluation practices. So we're doing that as just kind of a mental exercise, but then in the mornings, like, we just really prep for practice, and then practices against the Titans, we're just really still in the evaluation stage from the football on the field stuff.
That's Nick Holtz talking about introducing the game week process, which is what they're doing this week before the preseason finale.
Wait, can we not just gloss over how just poorly all of that went down? Can we just stop and take a moment to sit in how bad we are as a radio
Let's
show?
take a moment. Okay, here's Nick Holtz talking about the Will Levis, Calvin Ridley connection.
There's a little bit of not bad luck, but there was a couple ones where, like, against Seattle, we ended up having, he was kind of running this like bench takeoff thing, and it's going to be wide open, and he kind of gets grabbed, so he kind of stops running, and then it's like, so there's a little bit of that of, we would have it, but there's no really replacement for actually completing that ball. It's not like we can all keep sitting here and say it'll happen. So I think it's going to come with reps. I think there's in some days they've had really good days, and there's times where they've both been at fault. Each guy said, "Oh shoot, he's got to do it better." And it just kind of comes with time, and we're really not concerned about it from a production standpoint.
Brian, go ahead. You got to follow up. Go ahead. Is there any indication on why the good days are good and the bad days are bad?
No, I think part of it is our defense does a really good job of playing kind of like some unscouted looks. And so we keep thinking, Denard's going to do this, and we've got these couple coverages up. And all right, if they play these 3 main coverages he plays, and then twice he's throwing some pretty good wrinkles at us, and all of a sudden the adjustment changes, which is really good for us for regular season practice. But I think we'd also love to hit a couple of those and feel like, what we're saying is going to happen is going to happen. So it's a balancing act, but we're not stressed about it, I would say.
Focus being not necessarily up to par on something like that. Nick Holtz speaking about a couple of different things, his game day process and the connection between Calvin Ridley and Will Levis and why it continues to be a work in progress. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on the conversation. What is the thing that you are most wanting to learn about in this final week of training camp leading up to the preseason finale? There will be a couple of weeks of practice before the regular season actually begins, but this is actually the last week of training camp as we know it.
Chosen on the F&M Bank chat says, I've also heard Levis has not been able to get the timing down because Ridley is so fast. Is that true?
It is the fastest receiver he's ever played with.
It's part of the adjustment.
Yep.
It's a part of it. But, what do we need to see between Levis and Ridley to feel good about that progress on Sunday? Do we need to see a deep ball? Do we need to see a couple of catch and runs like we saw in the first preseason game?
It has to be something more specific than catch and run, right? Because that's all Ridley's done in the preseason. He has the 3rd and 10, 22-yard catch and run short of the sticks that he was able to make a play because he's good with the ball in his hands, right? I want to see something that is done more with timing, with rhythm, with anticipation on the throws. I want to see Will Levis. Okay, so on a deep ball, do you think most people think he's throwing a quarterback is throwing to a player or throwing to a spot?
A spot.
Do you think most people think that? Because I would think that I would think that most people think he is throwing to Calvin Ridley as opposed to throwing to a spot, and that it is incumbent upon him to throw it to the right spot with timing for Ridley to run under and make a successful play so he can catch the ball in stride and continue to get yards after the catch that way. That's the biggest difference. I need to see Will Levis throw 2 spots and be on the same page as his receivers so that they're able to accomplish it. I'd be curious to say, and Callahan seemed to be unsure whether Dennis Allen was going to play starters in the defense, on the Saints defense or on the Saints in general in this preseason game with the Titans. But I need to see him. I need to see him thinking less in the process of operating the offense. I need to see it be more seamless, and that is the kind of progression that he should be able to make and can make based on these weeks in the lead up.
I hope the Saints play starters on defense.
I do too.
Because Calvin Ridley has looked fantastic at times at camp. He's looked fantastic against Jarvis Brownlee, right? And Titans corners not named L'Jarius Sneed and Chido Awuzie. And then he got, roughed up a little bit by the Seahawks corners. Did a couple good things in 1v1s, but in team drills, Seahawks defense typically got the better of the Titans offense. Now, Seahawks have a fantastic duo of cornerbacks. We're probably not going to see Marshawn Lattimore on Sunday. He's been dealing with a hip. They're looking for him to be ready week 1. Doubt we see him. I hope we see Alontae Taylor. I imagine we'll see Kool-Aid McKinstry, the rookie drafted out of Alabama. But I would like to see Calvin Ridley get that work in against starting caliber cornerbacks, which Jarvis Brownlee, who has been good so far in camp as a rookie at Louisville, don't know that he's that yet for the Titans. So I would like to see that because he has not gotten a chance to do it against Sneed or Awuzie.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. A reminder that we will be back out here at Titans training camp practice tomorrow with all of this and continuing our coverage in the lead up to Titans and Saints. The morning show will be out here as well. If I'm not mistaken, Robert, you have Brian Callahan on the morning show tomorrow. At what time? 9:30 is when the head coach will be on with Ramon, Kayla, and Will, so you can check that out as well. Coming up next, we are going to continue to talk about things that we want to see in the final week of preseason practice. We've seen primarily focused on the offense. Let's talk about the defense coming up next. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Are you cheating on our title sponsor? What are you eating right now?
Some risotto.
What's next to it?
You think I'm going to touch that? I don't eat chicken unless it's got a little mini Hattie B's flag planted in it with the sauce, the spice level.
The Titans have been kind enough to provide us lunch throughout the course of training camp, and I will say that this is not branded chicken, so I don't know from where this chicken came, but I know it's not Hattie B's, and I think you should not be allowed to eat the lunch that you just brought down because it's not Hattie B's.
No, but I can have the risotto and the green beans and these lovely rosemary olive oil chips.
Lots of carbs.
I think that's a free-range imposter.
A free-range imposter. It's not.
I'll give it to Stonehouse. Just reach across this giant hunk of.
Would you like some chicken?
It's a leg and a thigh. Just offer it across the table.
You know, I mean, depending on who the football player is, they might be inclined to take it from you and eat it.
I would if I was a football player.
Well, you are not. You are subhuman in the way that your appetite works. So I would not compare you to anybody that way. Things that we are looking for from the final week of preseason practice. Now that we've talked about offense, let's focus on defense. I would like to see who the third edge rusher is going to be officially. Doesn't it feel like Weaver's about to get cut?
Man, we have not talked much about Rashad Weaver or lack thereof in training camp, right? Denard Wilson was complimentary of him yesterday, but it's hard not to look at him as the fourth edge rusher on this team. I don't know about getting cut because the Titans are not that deep at edge rusher. But yeah, there's no question that Jalen Harrell is viewed more favorably right now than Rashad Weaver. He's been doing it in practice and in preseason.
No, I'm not even talking about for Jalen Harrell. I'm talking about for Caleb Murphy.
For Caleb Murphy?
I think I like Caleb Murphy better than I like Rashad Weaver.
I don't know. That might be a stretch. I haven't watched every single snap Caleb Murphy and Rashad Weaver have played in camp. I just know they haven't. Weaver certainly hasn't popped like that.
I don't think there's that far a gulf between the two of them.
Sure.
And I think that one is in a very different position than the other. Weaver's in a contract year, is he not? 2021 draft pick?
Rashad Weaver was a 2021 draft pick.
Weaver would be in a contract year in this particular situation. So that would be unfortunate for him, but they're not going to keep 5 edge guys. And so I think that, if it's between Murphy and Weaver, I think it's much, much closer than people may actually realize.
What about Shane Ray?
Shane Ray played a lot in that preseason game, that second preseason game. And I don't know, anytime, and this doesn't mean everything, right? But every time we ask the coaching staff about Shane Ray, it's like, well, he's played a lot of football and we're still trying to get him up to speed and stuff like that. It's not like, it's certainly not what they say about Jalen Harrell, right? I've never heard such effusive praise for a 7th-round pick out of anywhere, wherever he's from, whatever position he plays. Like this has been overwhelming, the amount of praise for Jalen, and deservedly so. He has been good.
He's like Campbell in that at every moment, all he's done is seize opportunities and take advantage of them.
So I would like some clarity at the edge group, but more specifically about who the fourth guy is, because Jalen Harrell's on the roster as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Weaver and Murphy is a much different discussion, I feel.
Special teams, that element is what makes it hard for us to have this discussion,
sure.
Right? That factors into the running back discussion for us. And what, are we going to go watch the All-22 and come back with special teams breakdowns of Hassan Haskins versus Julius Chestnut?
I mean, I can if you really want. I could probably do Hassan Haskins because he is. Brian Callahan called him a demon. A special teams demon.
Colt Anderson said he's basically a linebacker out there.
That's what I'm saying. So, like him, I could do. So if you want my special teams analysis of that guy, I got
but that's
you
just us repeating what his coaches are telling us.
Correct. I can also discern that he is a crazy person screaming downfield at 1,000 miles an hour, ready to take somebody's head off, and he's also big. There, my special teams analysis. You're welcome.
Has Weaver been on the first team kickoff unit?
No. Not in the preseason games. Now again, first team kickoff unit is kind of difficult to
kickoff
discern.
Coverage.
Kickoff coverage unit is difficult to discern in that second preseason game. And to your point, like we cannot, from our vantage point, we have seen less special teams than we have anything else, other than we can see the field goals, right, based on our vantage point of practice. By the way, we're at Titans practice.
Hard to tell.
It's pretty quiet over here because
It is so quiet.
Well, for the first time, they're practicing on field 3, and for the longest, they've been right here in front of us. So if it doesn't sound like we're at a football practice today, we are, in fact, at a football practice.
We're exiled over here. We're A, not allowed to talk about what we're seeing until it's over, and B, can't see what's happening over there. So we'll need to rely on others.
That's because for the first time in a month, there are not fans at training camp practice. So it is hush-hush until, what? Well, 10 minutes from now, we'll tell you what's going on.
Football's being played over there.
There is football being played at this point.
A quarterback just threw a pass
To a
receiver. We cannot confirm.
completed for a touchdown. I have no idea who threw it and who caught it.
You said it, not me. That was a nice play.
Was I not supposed to say that?
I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny whether or not it was.
Oh,
a touchdown.
damn it! We haven't done this in a while, so I forgot how to do it.
They appear to be on the same team.
Yes, they are in fact on the same team. They are wearing the same jersey colors. I can't tell you who threw the pass to whom, but at this point, yeah, the quarterback had a red jersey on. That's about all I can tell you at this point. The second defensive question that I have that I would like answered is CB4. Well, I think we have the answer for CB4. So CB5. Jarvis Brownlee is going to be on this team as a 5th-round pick out of Louisville. He's played good football. He's gotten a ton of reps. He has, I'm not going to say requisite experience to where you could toss him out there, because Trey Avery, whatever you think of Trey Avery, and a lot of people have bad vibes about Trey Avery, especially on the burnt toast touchdown that he gave up in the preseason game against Seattle. But he has played a lot of football, and they will value that kind of situational awareness over, let's say, a Gabe Jeudy-Lally who has yet to play football, and they're saying, all right, the guy who's played a lot versus the guy who hasn't, do we want to risk it more than we might already be risking it by playing our 5th corner if such time as he might need to play? And does Caleb Farley factor in at all? Because he was returning to practice today, but what I can tell you in about 8 minutes, I have additional context for the amount of work that Caleb Farley actually got in today. Tease for the noon hour,
which we will hear from Will Levison.
Will Levis will
noon.
speak, and Ryan Stonehouse, Titans punter, will join us over here at the training camp setup. With that, I think that's kind of the bow on where I'm at with the Titans defense. I can't answer any more questions than I have because I haven't seen them play with their starting corners. You know, like that is such a big part of trying to figure out how good or how viable this defense may actually be, if this defense will be at all viable, more so than they were last year. Will they take a dip in certain categories? Will they improve in certain categories? Will that still find them about middle of the pack based on how they finished last year? Is there anything on defense that I left out that you're curious about?
James Williams is not someone we've really talked about. Denard Wilson, his presser opened with the question about James Williams, and it feels like he's just a guy that's flashed, right? I don't think he's had the consistency of a Jalen Harrell at practice or on the offensive side of Jaquan Jackson in terms of this draft class, but he's flashed, and he's come downhill in these preseason games, and he's just popped up in each of the first 2 preseason games. So how he factors into the linebacker discussion is interesting because I'd say he's ahead of Cedric Gray right now because he's out there.
No, he's definitely
he's doing
Cedric
things.
Gray. Cedric Gray was buried on the depth chart before he got hurt. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's not inconsequential here. So the linebacker competition, again, James Williams plays special teams. He is another special teams terror that you can expect to see out there. So I would be curious, especially with Otis Reese in the concussion protocol, Luke Gifford in the concussion protocol. You have Chance Campbell now off-ball linebacker 3 for all intents and purposes. Kenneth Murray back at practice or will be continuing to work his way back into the mix here with some precautionary hamstring tightness that kept him out last week. And I think Jack Gibbons is going to be your starting off-ball linebacker with Kenneth Murray week 1. I think their preference is Gibbons over Campbell. And if in season something would necessitate a change, then we'll find out then. But right now, that feels like those 2 spots specifically feel like we have the answer to those questions. Titans practice is still ongoing. It's expected to wrap up around noon today. We will have Ryan Stonehouse join us, and you'll hear from Will Levis. All of that in the final hour. Coming up next, live from Titans training camp. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from Titans training camp at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. I'm Lucas Panzica. Practice has concluded as the Titans prepare for Sunday's preseason finale at the New Orleans Saints. Quarterback Will Levis getting set to meet with the media at the podium. You can hear that live momentarily right here on The Zone. Titans made a transaction on Tuesday, signing linebacker Michael Jones and placing linebacker Garrett Wallow on injured reserve. Jones is a former Syracuse linebacker, was a UDFA with the Chargers last year, and spent time with the Cowboys practice squad, as well as the DC Defenders in the UFL. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is upon us. Titans practice has concluded, and we have updates aplenty. Some you're going to like, some you're going to hate. Welcome back to the show. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ryan Stonehouse going to join us. Will Levis going to conduct a press conference. You will hear both of those things live as soon as Allen Kirby gets out of his chair and makes room for the Titans punter. At some point, he's not here yet, Kirby. Don't worry, I'm just messing with you. We got Bert, we got Will, we got Lucas, we got all manner of people out here taking in the final Wednesday of Titans training camp practice. One more day that we will be out here, and they had a day of work yesterday. A couple of observations that are being provided to us by our friends and colleagues who actually got to see practice. I mean, we can physically see it, but
Must be nice.
We're very, very far away. So, Caleb Farley, Tyler Boyd, both back. No Josh Wiley, Kieris Jackson, T.K. McClendon, Luke Gifford, Chidobe Awuzie, L'Jarius Sneed. I will add on those last two, Lucas and I did watch them working out together. It's the first time I've seen Cheeto out here on the practice field doing stuff on the field, so that's progress. And Sneed, of course, has that management program. And Callahan did say that they expected to have him in some form or fashion back at practice this week.
And Denard Wilson was very confident yesterday in saying they will both be ready week one.
Yes. So, and also on Caleb Farley did return in some form or fashion to practice today, but he did not have pads on. He was over here working out with the training staff, so a different kind of experience for Caleb Farley. That you are looking, but you're looking to see more, obviously, for him to try and make a roster push. Some other things that are noted here, and this is courtesy of Teron Davenport at ESPN. Jaquan Jackson, Eric Gare, Sam Schnee all took reps at punt return. You saw some pass rush work from Tavondre Sweat to get by Lloyd Cushenberry instead of bull rushing. Dylan Radins, this is funny, must have ate his spinach this morning. Just stoned Jeffrey Simmons on a rep.
Okay.
How about that for Dylan Radins, who's out here in the driver's seat for the starting right guard job. An additional note, though, from Jimmy Wyatt. Traylon Burks left practice early with a trainer after